What's up, guys?
Hey.
Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. So I messed up with my days. Welcome to the show, Andrew, Ty, Stephen. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for having us.
I hope all you guys at home can hear us loud. Those on YouTube and Facebook, you guys can hear us loud and clear. Let me just set this. Okay. So looks like we have another 2 weeks extension holiday.
That's great for the live stream, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we might as well just go along with Singapore and just extend it all the way to the 1st of June, right? Okay. So tonight, everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you for waiting up. We wanted to make sure we finish up with make sure the Prime Minister had finished his announcement before we start. So tonight I am going to be your moderator. I'm sitting in for Benny. So if you guys have any questions for our speakers here, please send us a comment below. Okay. Before I get started, I am just going to make a very quick announcement. I just found out 5 minutes ago that we've been extended to 12th of May. But you can still access ET for free and register via WhatsApp. Please tell your friends to do that at 0384082070. That is valid till 30th of April. So go, right? You still have time. As you all know, or those who have just joined us, as you all know, we actually started a charity campaign about 3 weeks ago. The idea behind this was that we wanted how could we contribute in the current situation. So a lot of people who are on daily wages actually do not have money or even enough money to put food on the table. And what we have done in this 3 weeks, we've actually managed to raise $120,592 so far. So thank you very much for all of you who contributed. In exchange, we are giving you guys free equities tracker classes at ET online campus. So please head on there. It's only 100 ringgit, minimum 100 ringgit donation. Please don't give us, don't donate any money to ET. Make a donation to any charity. If you don't have a charity, we can suggest one for you. All you need to do is go to charity.equitiestracker.com. What you do is just upload a receipt of your donation, and you and 3 friends, right? So yourself and 3 friends, so 4 of you guys in total, can access our online e-learning portal absolutely free on Facebook. It is at ET Online Campus. All right. And what do we cover? We actually have 18 hours of content right there recorded for you guys. One which is run by myself, value investing, and we also have one chart analysis program run by Benny, right? So he's on break tonight. Okay. Now, just a quick disclaimer before we get started on the show. Whatever we do here is not financial advice. None of us here are financial advisors. So should you decide to partake or make any decisions, that is, if you make money, fantastic. If you lose money, please don't blame us. Okay. So this is purely educational. Okay. So I have to do this. All right. Okay. So now let's get started. Now tonight's topic is about WealthTech, right? Maybe Stephen, Andrew, or Ty, would you guys give us just a very quick brief on what we've heard of FinTech, but what is WealthTech?
So I'll just go ahead and explain it. It's a subset of FinTech. So WealthTech is essentially any kind of technology that can it's any type of technology that can automate investment decisions or connect people to investment opportunities. So people who might not have access to investment opportunities, that's part of WealthTech. Anybody who may not have access to a financial advisor, and then they would prefer a robo-advisor, that's part of WealthTech. So this is all part of like the subset of FinTech, which is WealthTech.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think for
Alvin,
more general word that people use to describe everything that is to do with wealth management and applying technology to that. So it could be something just as how FinTech is a financial technology. like for example, if you start using technology and messing it up with gold and come up with maybe gold technology products, I think that's what WealthTech can also cover.
Thank you. Andrew, you said you had something? Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. I actually wanted to introduce our guest first.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So
Yes.
let me do that. All right.
Yeah.
I know we want to get started and get straight into it. But let me introduce our two guests. First of all, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Ty, for taking time out to hang out with us here. Right. Ty actually got up. Ty is about 13 hours behind, right?
It's 8:50 a.m. here.
8:50 a.m. So he actually, and we actually were gonna jump on at actually 7:30 to test first. So he would have gotten up a lot earlier, just to be on the show. So thank you for getting up early, Ty.
No problem.
So we have Stephen Chia, right? Stephen is we met Stephen when did we first meet you, Stephen? Was it we might have met you in Korea or at one of the crypto conferences, right?
Probably maybe a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stephen is a business consultant. He is also an advisor to a crypto project called Proxima X, and tonight he's going to be our bot trading specialist. He's going to tell us all about bot trading, which is a part of WealthTech. And I'm going to introduce you to Ty Blackard. Ty is right now Ty is right now in Atlanta, Georgia. Right, you guys are also on a bit of a lockdown in the States. Ty is the COO, right? He's the Chief Operating Officer of FOMO Hunt. It's a startup that's out of LA working on market intelligence. Now, before we delve into FinTech, which I want to, I just want to ask Ty, what's the situation like in US with the lockdown? Because, like right now it's at the top of the list, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, there's people that are, they're protesting, in a lot of these states, they're protesting to get everything open back up. In fact, the state that I'm in, Georgia, our state is opening up tomorrow for like bowling alleys, barbershops. And by the way, bowling alleys is just so random, but that was one of the things that they added. Barbershops, and then gyms and a couple other things. So our state's one of the first ones to open back up. And a lot of people are, there's controversy between all that. And then, the rest of the states are all protesting to get their states open back up. And then, there's a lot of people being, a lot of people having the police called on them. And it's all crazy. So, it's, yeah, I think the difference though for the U.S., I guess, opposed to the rest of the world, is that for whatever reason, people just enjoy protesting in the U.S. So that's what we do best.
Yeah, because I guess it's really high in New York State, right? What are the numbers like in I don't know, LA and Atlanta, Georgia?
To be honest, New York is from what I've seen, New York is the only hotbed for any of this, and then the rest of the country is kind of quiet. There's a lot of like videos coming out where a lot of the nurses just don't have anything to do. So instead of just hanging around, they're making TikTok videos, which requires a lot of coordination. So that's kind of the rest of the country, and then New York is over here. With it's massive death toll right now. So I don't know what's going on in New York as opposed to the rest of the country, but that's just kind of how it is.
Okay. So do you want to, now that we talked about the COVID thing, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself, FOMO Hunt, and then we'll let him introduce a bit about himself as well?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm the COO of FOMO Hunt. I'm one of the co-founders of FOMO Hunt. So what we're doing is we're working on developing a platform. And you mentioned market intelligence earlier. we're developing a platform to kind of add to WealthTech, and that's kind of, I guess that's kind of why we're talking about this topic. And our development is headed towards investment decisions not only, but investment access. So we're working in that area. I can't speak too much about exactly what we're doing so I don't give away too much. But by the way, market intelligence, the definition of that is just any data analytics on market sentiment or just the market in general. Whereas, business intelligence might be like sales, shipments, internal information that the market would not have access to. So I've spent all of my years, I'm only 24 years old, all of my years, doing marketing and YouTube and content creation and whatnot. And then spent a lot of time in Asia in 2019, thankfully, because of all this stuff going on. And then I actually had a chance to meet Andrew and Alvin in Malaysia when we came down there as part of our trip. So that's how we all got to know each other, and that's kind of how I'm here.
Cool.
So,
Stephen?
Okay, actually I spent nearly 2 years in 2017 involved in crypto. Basically, my classmate who, from way back from secondary school days, he happened to, we were partners in a wireless broadband company. And when we sold that business, he went back to Australia. He's Malaysian, but he went back to Australia, and then and I never heard from him for like nearly 4 or 5 years. And then he came back in 2017 and said, "Stephen, what are you doing?" I say, "Nothing much." And in fact, I was kind of bored, so bored that I was actually a Grab driver. Okay, so I did that for a little while, and it was fun. Good money, paid for my 4 tires for my truck. Then he said, "Hey, Stephen, I'm working on this project. It's just," he didn't tell me what it was. He just say it's this technology thing. And like, you heard of blockchain? I'm like, no. And so then, cut the story short, basically he said, okay, I'm involved in a blockchain project. It's an open source project. It's called NEM. And we are ready to get started. And we've been developing it for the past 2 years before that, nearly 4 years before that. In fact, he was involved. And lo and behold, he said we needed to set up a foundation, and foundation is established. We want to create regional presence. So I said, sounds like fun. A lot easier than driving Grab, being a Grab driver. So I said, okay. So I became the regional director for NEM blockchain, which is actually an open source blockchain network. At that time, they already have the mainnet. That means the network was already running. And one thing he didn't tell me was that way back then, when they developed the technology, one of the first assets they created was a little known thing called a cryptocurrency, okay? And he also didn't tell me at that time it was worth 0.0001 cent. And they were giving it away free. And he also didn't tell me that. Actually, he did. I just ignored him because I was too busy with my life here in Malaysia. And lo and behold, we got back together, and we started to introduce a NEM blockchain and get people to embrace and adopt it. At that time when I joined in 2017, honestly, I had very little knowledge of blockchain, very little knowledge of crypto or even token. And I, like what the wise people say, everything you need to know, learn it from Google. That's what I did.
Yep.
So I spent 2.5 years, and last year in March, I just stepped off because it's a 2-year term. I was the regional director, and also I was council member for the NEM Foundation, which is very unusual because it's a non-profit, and yet it's a technology organization, but non-profit, which is very similar to what Linux Foundation is, because as you know, Linux operating system is it's open source, and they created a foundation to educate and promote. So the NEM Foundation was like that also. So that's how I got into the wild world of blockchain and crypto.
Cool.
Nice.
Thanks, introduction, guys. So, okay, so I guess a lot of our audience wants to know, first of all, let's start with FinTech. What is FinTech, right? It's the merging of the word finance and technology, obviously. And that's a word that's been thrown around for a very long time. And so everyone knows what FinTech is. It's just incorporating technology into finance to enable more efficient, shall I say, efficient ways of doing things. So wealth tech, I suppose, is one of the subsets of FinTech. It obviously focuses more along the lines of managing your wealth using technology, the ability to, say, trade while you're sleeping, for example, the ability to transfer money across the globe as and when required, and a lot of other things that has to do with managing one's wealth. That could include, algorithmic trading, right, and all those things. So tonight we're gonna. So you're wondering, well, why are we talking about wealth tech on Crypto Night, right? Well, obviously, crypto is obviously a part of wealth tech.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very much so. So it's how what can it do? What does it do? And how can it help us, right? So I'm just gonna throw it out there, right? Ty, is there anything that you want to share about wealth tech that you've come across that you might
sure.
for the view?
Yeah, so it's important to understand that, these buzzwords, fintech, wealth tech, they're not really exclusive. Okay, so you can put something to do with the blockchain in wealth tech. You could make it more broad and just put it into fintech. It doesn't really matter. But the focus of wealth tech is to create investment tools or platforms that can give access to better investment decisions or just access to investments in general. So most of us know that there's a very large portion of the world who are unbanked. Not only that, but there's a large portion of the world who are uninformed. So you have two customer segments. You have uninformed, you have unbanked. These are two very important customer segments that the fintech industry has been trying to target for years, obviously. Now, fintech focuses more on the transfer of money, so to speak, and this is mostly in the already existing traditional finance system. Now, the problem is getting to those customers who may not have access to the traditional finance system, which again is a very large portion of the world. So wealth tech focuses on trying to bring these investment vehicles, and now with the blockchain, we actually and with APIs as well. I'll get into APIs. Now we have the ability to offer, this technology and these investment opportunities to, the unbanked and the uninformed. And so for the uninformed, for example, there's these things called robo-advisors. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of robo-advisors, but yeah, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a robo-advisor. It automates your investment decisions. So what they'll do is, like Acorns is a popular app where you can essentially automate small purchases, which is like micro investing, which is also part of wealth tech, to invest in certain stocks. I don't know how accessible Acorns is to the rest of the world. It's obviously available in the US, but it's a very popular platform where anytime you have a purchase on your bank account or your bank statement, it will round up to the next dollar, and then take that money and invest it in whatever stocks it advises you to take, or whichever ones you want to choose. So that's a robo-advisor or a type of robo-advisor, and that's going to help people who may not have access to like financial advisors, because not everybody has access to a financial advisor. And obviously, we're moving into this new era of technology where everything is automated, and that's kind of where the robo-advisor comes into play. Now, the other part is the unbanked. So this is the most exciting part for me, at least, because I think we all want to help people across the world, especially the unbanked, because these people don't have access to investment opportunities like we do. So, for these people, they need access to these investment opportunities. Now, the blockchain has somewhat closed the gap on this because of the introduction of stable coins. So stable coins are, if you're not familiar with what a stable coin is, it's just it's an ERC20 token usually, which is an Ethereum token, which can be transferred on the Ethereum blockchain. Now there's different types of stable coins, but that's the most common one. And these stable coins transfer fairly fast. And you don't have to have a bank account to transfer them. You can have a wallet on your phone, which most consumers have cell phones these days. They don't have bank accounts, they have cell phones. And they can use their cell phone, of course, to transfer money. Okay, no problem. And that's obviously that's also part of the uninformed, because if you don't know how to do that, then it doesn't matter. But without going on any further and getting into too much depth, I guess we can go into broader questions or more narrow questions. That's kind of what WealthTech is.
Sure. Just for our viewers, those who don't know what ERC20 is or Ethereum, that's okay. What stable coin is just a tokenized representation of what one USD is, for example, right? So instead of the cash, it is represented in an electronic format that you are able to then send to anybody's wallets, whether it's on your phone or on your iPad or on your laptop. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I think a lot of the viewers are probably waiting for Stephen to share a little bit about what he does, because Stephen actually makes money while he sleeps.
Well, when I'm talking to you also sometimes.
Right now.
Actually, just in general, basically, there are different elements of WealthTech. Like, for example, I used to, and I still do, buy mutual funds, right? So, and very often my mutual fund agent will come up to me and say, Stephen, there's a particular fund that actually there's no switching fee. You can switch it over because I think this new fund will do better, right? Now, imagine if, let's say, somebody wrote a program that says that whenever there's a fund that has a better return or projected return, it will automatically switch for me, right? So if somebody wrote a software like that, I think all those people who invest in mutual fund, unfortunately for the agent, he'll be out of a job, but that's an example of applying technology to what ordinarily can be done. A lot of us make, for example, a lot of us make online stock purchases, and we do a buy or sell instruction, and when it hits that price, it executes it. That in itself is actually an automated way of doing things, right? So WealthTech actually encompasses this whole use of technology in whichever, it could be, for example, something crazy like every time the stock market drops, we know gold price maybe goes up a little bit. Why don't I write a little program that kind of marries the two? And every time it does that, I drop my equity and I go and buy gold for whatever reason, right? Or using technology to arbitrage against different things. So one of the reasons why I got into crypto, well, it was a very long weekend. Like now we have long month, right? Long weekend in the Labor Day on 2017, right? So after me, very little knowledge of crypto, I said, okay, I need to learn this in 2017. So what I did was I actually went on that day to open an account. I opened a crypto exchange account and in Bittrex, right, which is a US traded exchange, crypto exchange. And I knew from way back from all the classes in stock market that I learned is rule number one is buy low, sell high. So I went in and let's go buy. At that time was like probably a 0.2 of a Bitcoin then. And at that time, Bitcoin was roughly around 4,000 to 6,000 US, right? I forgot what was the number. Anyway, I went in and the long weekend of Labor Day, I was so excited because I started with 0.2, I ended up with 0.6 of a Bitcoin, right? And just by watching it every day. So, and from that day onwards, every day I was watching my screen for my exchange. Not only that, now I'm watching a screen of one exchange, then I signed up for a second exchange and a third exchange, and I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, okay? I was gonna do, there has to be a better way. I had to find that better way until when I got enough time after I stepped off NEM, okay? And that better way was actually somebody figured out how to do it better, right? So anyway, just to backtrack a little bit, why crypto versus, let's say, something like stock exchange, right? Maybe I have a few slides I would like to share. Maybe give you guys a kind of like a preview on this. Let me see whether I can get this going.
Yeah. So click on the share screen button at below.
Yeah.
And then sort of share your window, application window. And then when you're ready, advise if you don't mind.
Yeah. You see it?
Yeah, we're gonna wait for Faiz. No.
Richard.
Yeah. Have you clicked on the share screen at the bottom, Stephen? If you're using Chrome, just next to the button called Leave Studio,
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Yep. If you see a share screen, then you'll see at the bottom.
By the way, Stephen, your crypto story sounds very similar to mine. Staying up all night trying to watch the price.
Okay, I got it.
I think it's very common with all crypto
Okay.
guys.
Pretty much.
Okay, you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is a screen of Bitcoin in the past 3 months, right? Okay. Imagine if you are trading on the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange. We are like a small exchange compared to the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange or Hong Kong Exchange or London Stock Exchange, right? The problem is that it runs from Monday to Friday and closes at 5 o'clock, right? Now, in the crypto market, for example, here's probably the top 5 of the crypto prices, right? Now, if you look at the volume, this is in billions, yeah? And this is in US dollars, right? If you add the top 5, you probably get roughly around 101 billion US dollars, right? So that's roughly around 400 billion ringgit, Malaysia, on a 24-hour volume, right? Now, our Malaysian, Alvin, what is our volume in ringgit of our Malaysian stock market?
A day, maybe 2 billion ringgit.
Yeah, so that's roughly around 500 million, right? US dollars, right? Yeah. So you can imagine a market where the whole world is trading on it. And the beautiful thing about it is it doesn't sleep. It keeps going, right? In fact, as I'm talking to you guys, it's still going on, right? In fact, for the past 1 hour, I'm looking at my chart here. The Bitcoin price went from 7,050 to 7,161 US dollars, right? And you see, this is I pulled this afternoon, and in 24 hours it goes up. Ethereum went up 3.6%. Bitcoin went up 2 point, and see what happened here. Remember when we had a major crash of the Dow Jones? It happened roughly around here. Similarly, the Bitcoin also dived from 8,000 and dropped all the way back below, in fact, nearly 5,000 US dollars, right? But you can see, if you look at the global stock markets, they are still in the negative 20% territory, right? Now, the Bitcoin price went back up to 7,000 in that same period, right? So you can imagine that means the whole world is trading on it. It's as if our Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange is traded by everybody in the world, right? So that's the scale of which this whole thing is, right? So basically, there's a lot of liquidity, right? So this will be what you will be looking at if you're trading Bitcoin. In fact, I just look at screens like this like crazy. I mean, this is a Binance, which is one of the largest exchanges in the world. Binance is actually has very high liquidity, and if you look at their volume, it's staggering. It's 474 million US dollars equivalent, right? Of just in Binance alone, right? So, and here's the charts. It looks very similar to your equity charts, right? So, what if you are able to trade on it at any time that you want? And it's exactly what I did for the past, since 2017. But the problem is that, what if that little green bar was when you were sleeping, right? Would it be cool if there's a way for us to actually take advantage of not just the upside, but also the downside of a particular token or a particular crypto, right? So this is where bot trading comes into play. Now, bot trading is nothing more than an automated instruction given to your exchange to buy and sell a particular token, or just like how you do your shares, right? So yeah, these are some of the trading bots out there. Now, strangely enough, is that these are all popular ones in the US, in the Western world. Okay. Now, of course, the �3Commerce is actually one of the largest because this report was written by somebody at �3Commerce. So these are all the different types. On average, most of this will probably charge a subscription or a user pay, or maybe take a portion of the profits, right? Or when it's doing trading for you, right? Some of them actually don't even touch your exchange account. And that's important, okay? I'm gonna explain that a little bit later, right? So most of them will say, okay, if you want me to help you, you sign up for my service and I will make the instruction to buy and sell on your behalf when certain criteria are made, right? So if you Google some of these, you will probably see them offering either a monthly subscription or annual subscription, okay? Now, why do you choose a trading bot? Basically, you want it to be reliable, right? Of course, it needs to do what you gave the instruction for. Just like how you would give instruction for your equity account or your Kananga or whatever the local stockbroker account, it needs to be reliable. If it sell at 65 cents, 10 lots, it needs to be able to execute it reliably, right? Second, of course, is security, right? Security is even more paramount in the crypto world because if it's lost, if things go weary, you cannot get it back, right? Not like where in shares, you can actually call up your stockbroker and say, hey, I ran into trouble. Can you kind of help me out? In the crypto world, if it's gone or if you get tricked into selling when you're not supposed to, it's gone, all right? So that's the high risk. Of course, profitability, it needs the ability to actually be able to make you money, right? Transparency is another one where whatever it does, it has a history of it and you know what happened. And of course, the last and probably the most important for people who are new to this is the ease of use, okay? How's the interface of this bot, okay? for those of you who are not familiar, Trading Port is nothing more than an application that acts on your behalf. It's just a program that's it. Now, what happened was, when I was doing all this trading, one day I just said, hey, there must be a better way of doing this. So I went out and Googled, I went and Googled, what is the good way of doing this, right? And I went, and lo and behold, I found this little program, right? And this program was quite interesting. It's not written by any of the Western world, and it's written by some Chinese chaps based out of Beijing, right? And believe it or not, this application is downloadable. You can download it from Google Play or even the App Store. I think it's in iOS also. There's also a web version, right? Basically, this piece of software sits on your phone, and it does the job of trading for you, but it doesn't touch your crypto at all at the exchange, meaning it interfaces between you and the exchange. Okay, it does that through something called an API. API is a standard protocol that exchanges use to talk to applications outside, right? So basically, here's an example of how it looks like. Basically, if you want to trade Bitcoin or whatever, it will give you a screen that you can not only see your portfolio in the exchange, it can also help you do buy and sell orders. The only thing it doesn't do is to take your funds, right? Because there's a certain protocol it uses, right? So why this is interesting is because one of the things about crypto as I go back here, is that if you are trading a share, basically in shares, you buy low and you just wait and hope, pray to God that it goes up, and you sell when it goes up to the profit target that you want. Now in crypto, because of its volatility, right? Like for example, we saw up here that every day on a 24-hour basis, it can go up 3%, it can dive minus 5%, right? And you can see this if you go to coinmarketcap.com and you look at all of the crypto prices, and you see it doing this gyrations. Now, what the smart folks at Bit Universe did was they said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to play on the quantum of movement. That means every time it goes down, we're going to buy a little bit. Every time it goes up, we're going to sell a little bit, right? And basically, that's what it does, right? Now, the Bit Universe has a very interesting history. The team behind it is a very young team. I spoke to some of them. I spoke to their one of their co-founders. And some of you might know of this little piece of software if you're running your phone or your iPad called Clean Master. Now, Clean Master is a little piece of software that cleans out all the unwanted files and your memory on your mobile. And it's a free program. Believe it or not, that little program, Clean Master, has 50 million downloads. It's run by a company called Cheetah Mobile, right? Now, Cheetah Mobile, Cheetah Mobile is actually a listed company in NASDAQ, New York, right? And the Bit Universe team, actually, some of them were with Cheetah Mobile before, right? So they came out, and in 2017, they came out to write, and they saw the opportunity in crypto, and they came out to write this piece of software. Now, the most craziest thing about this application, I'm not connected with them at all. A bit of disclaimer here, right? I just love what they do. Okay.
And this is not financial advice, right?
No financial advice whatsoever. But what is interesting about Bit Universe is, believe it or not, they have nearly 1 million users around the world.
Wow.
Right?
Whoa.
And they're still in testing phase.
That's crazy.
Okay, and it's absolutely free. They still want to charge people yet. There were 3 VC funds that invested in them. One of them is actually a very huge Chinese fund. I bet all 3 of them are very huge Chinese funds. They invested nearly $10 million in this company, and they actually has a 𝐊𝐨𝐩𝐢𝐙𝐢𝐐 Capital. It's one of their funders, and it's a huge $1 billion Chinese fund. Gave them $10 million to develop this application. That's interesting, right? To think that they actually built this piece of amazing software and gave it away. Now, I'm going to click out of this and show you the second set of slides. Okay. Are we good to continue?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
That's on my phone now, so.
Same here.
Okay, so okay, I'm going to share the screen again.
I guess if anyone has any questions, please post in the comment section below. Then you know, we could ask Stephen or Ty or Andrew any questions you guys might have. I think there was one question about what software does Stephen use, right? I think that question came from YouTube. I believe Stephen's answering it or in the midst of answering it. Yeah.
Okay, the software actually it's the okay. Can you guys see the screen?
Oh, I think you need FIEs.
Yeah, we're just FIEs.
No, I can't see it.
Nope, you gotta share it again.
Okay. Okay.
So
anyway,
there you go. It's on screen. Yep.
Okay. So anyway, BitUniverse, basically you download the software, and for those of you who are familiar or have trading accounts, Binance is one of the largest ones, right? So Binance is Bittrex, Poloniex, locally Malaysia. In fact, the other night you guys invited somebody from Tokenize, right? So maybe you should get Tokenize on the BitUniverse also. Now, BitUniverse works with nearly 50 over exchanges around the world. Okay, Binance is one of their most favorite ones. And BitUniverse also have their own exchange, okay? And I'll tell you a reason why a little bit later. They have their own exchange that they are very close with, based out of Singapore, called Pionex, Pionex, okay? So when you download it, one of the first things you have to do is to create what they call an API link. Now, if you have a Binance account, chances are you have your wallets, you have already cleared their security, and you have an account. Just like let's say I have a Luno account, I set up an account, I go and buy my first Bitcoin or my first Ethereum. These exchanges have what they call an API. API is like the tunnel of which the exchange talk to applications like this, okay? Now, when you generate the API, you just have to enter those same sets of codes into this application, and there's instruction on their Telegram and their website to teach you how to do that. Once you have that connected, basically what it's telling this BitUniverse program is that, okay, I have an account in Binance, and BitUniverse, you can talk to it now. Okay, you can have different ones, different portfolios. That means you have a Binance account, or you have a Hopi. Hopi is another exchange. If you have a Hopi account, you can also have different connections to it and show different portfolios. Now, this software actually tells you which portfolio you want to work with. All right. So here's an example of what it does. Okay. Basically, it has already pre-designed automated bots that you can use. That means you don't even need to understand what it's doing. You just say that, okay, I'm crazy about, for example, Ethereum. Okay, this was pulled this afternoon. So Ethereum is $179, and this piece of software says that in the past 7 days, they have done some testing, and they said that if you were to invest 7 days ago, your return would have been this. It's crazy, right? Right? So what it's recommending you is to create a price range of 127 to 217. And basically, that's the range. It says that this Ethereum price is going to move in the past 7 days or 30 days, back tested. If it goes within that range, it'll say it'll bounce between this range, all right? And what it does is actually very interesting, right? I would love to have a piece of software that does this in the equity market, okay? Now, basically it says this is the range. We're going to slice it into different slices, or what they call grids, okay? And every time the price drops one grid, it goes by a certain amount. If it goes up, it sells a certain amount. That's it, all right? And at the bottom here, you can say how much you want to invest, okay? And basically all this information is pulling from your exchange account, all right? That means it knows how much money, or in this instance, this is USDT. That means this is a US denominated stable coin that we talked about, denominated in US dollars. That means this has close to one to one US dollar, right? Similarly, this is a bot that they recommend to you to trade Bitcoin and USDT, all right? Again, the bot says that it's 7,000 right now. If you back tested and you had invested in it today, 7 days later, chances are that is the kind of back tested annualized return, okay? And again, it recommends you that this is the range. This is, in fact, this one is a little bit different. This one, it actually slices into 34 slices, right? And again, you can slide this slider here and says, okay, I want to invest 1,600 of my, of my account into this. And when you click create, once you click create in this app, basically the magic happens. Then you just don't have to worry about it. You go to sleep, okay? And every time, if, for example, this was this afternoon, if now the price of Bitcoin is 7,159, chances are it will have bought and sold all the way up to 7,000, and still within your range, it will have done that, right? Okay, so these are some examples of some of my trades. Okay, I'm going to show it to you guys. All right.
You might need to zoom in a little bit because
yeah,
if you can
make it real close.
Sorry, guys. On my screen. So anyway, there is a little token that got created of all things, by an Indian project. Now, there's an Indian, very smart guys in India that created a Matic network. So one of their Ethereum project, and they created a Matic coin. Matic coin was launched in April last year, right? Since then, has gone through some crazy ups and downs, right? And this was what happened. I selected Matic and against USDT, and I ran it, and this was quite a while back. I ran it for 10 hours, 57 minutes, right? And the range was 0.01 cent to 0.008 cent, okay? I sliced it into 30 slices, and I invested 2,000 US in it. And guess what? In 10 hours, here was the return. It's crazy, right?
1%? 1%?
It's 27. It's 1.3%.
1.3%. Wow! In 10 hours.
That means it's 27 US dollars against a original investment of 2,000. Okay. The bottom one is the one that I did with a different range. 5 days before that is 4,000, and the return was 4.33%. If you look at it from the annualized point of view, right, annualized return, right, it's 273%. Okay, now this is one of my worst performing one. This is what happened when I started it. When I started it, I put in 5,000 US, and in 1 day, 24 hours, it went up to 10.6%. That's 570 US dollars. The range was 22 to 17. It's 30 grids. Okay, and this is just the software doing it, right? So remember the first one that we had just now? Now this is after 41 days. Okay, after 41 days, it's averaging out. That same 24 to 95 is still the metric, and basically now it's at 12%. Annualized is still 106%. Right? So
This is for all the Penang listeners. This is even better than MBI, you know.
So this is essentially like dollar cost averaging, buying and selling, but automated. That's kind of what I'm getting, and it looks like it works.
Yeah, but what is interesting thing is that basically it goes through. Basically, you are actually telling it, okay, I'm going to think that the range of the token is going to go between this. And they tell you back tested 30 days, 7 days, what is the range, right? And how many of us wish that we bought a share? If it goes down, we buy more. If it goes down, we buy more. And then if it goes up, we sell. If it goes up, we sell. But all this while we are sleeping, right? So as you're doing that, basically it makes maybe $1, maybe $2, but it does a lot of it. It does a tremendous amount of it. In fact, on average, this particular one has done nearly 147 transactions in 10 hours. Okay, of course, then you ask, how about the transaction fees?
I was just about to say.
This is already costed in, because that's the beauty of crypto investing. The transaction fee is extremely low at 0.05 cents, 0.05 of a percentage, right? So that's already costed in. That's the reason why this numbers they're showing me, it allows me to key in the transaction. It already accounted for the transaction fees going in and out, right, of Binance, right?
Nice.
So this is only my portfolio in Binance. Now this is where the Bit Universe, smart guys in Bit Universe did even one better. Binance has in itself, right, they have a huge volume, but they're still one exchange, just like the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange has its own liquidity. That's about it, right? So what they did was they say, why don't we create our own exchange, put the Bit Universe engine inside, and not only that, we will share the liquidity of all the other exchanges. That's exactly why they went into Pionex. Pionex is actually based out of Singapore, registered in Singapore. Pionex actually has the Bit Universe engine inside it, right? And on top of that, the Bit Universe engine in Pionex shares the liquidity with some of the major exchanges. So that means that if you have, Pionex is new, right? That means that their number of users and liquidity might not be too high, but they leverage on the liquidity of Huobi and also Binance and some of the others and pull it together, right? In fact, they are so, Pionex is so confident that they actually have an influence.
Steven, so just for our listeners, would you say that that's equivalent to, let's say, the New York Stock Exchange, the Jakarta, the stock exchange in Jakarta, and say the Bursa Malaysia?
Yes.
Assume that that there is no liquidity in, say, a gold ETF, for example, that someone from the Jakarta, the Indonesian Stock Exchange is able to actually purchase a gold ETF, let's say it was listed on all three, from a seller in Malaysia, because it essentially shared.
Yeah, they have a tunneling. They have a tunneling where they connect to each other and share the liquidity throughout, right? So this is interesting because a lot of the crypto world, basically, some of the smaller exchange don't have that capability because they only have that limited amount. It's just like the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange versus the Hong Kong Stock Exchange or the Nasdaq or the London Stock Exchange. So that's one of the important points why they actually did that with Pionex. So trust me, the Bit Universe boys, they're still at it. It's still free. So download it, play with it, and it's quite fun. And just to tell you what happened is, okay, as we are talking just now, when we first started this, my portfolio went up 700 US, right?
Nice.
I don't know, tomorrow it might drop down minus 500 or minus 1,000, but it went up 700, okay? So
forget about your job, don't worry.
Yeah, right? So I still watch it, but I don't have to watch all my exchanges. I only watch the Bit Universe app. That's it, right?
So are you saying you have multiple APIs for multiple exchanges to that one app?
Right. Yes, you can. Yeah. In fact, it can be connected to. In fact, let's see. Yeah, they are. Of course, Binance is on the top of the pile. They have Bitfinex, Bitstamp, Bittrex, Coinbase Pro, Cryptopia, HitBTC, Kraken, Poloniex, Bitforex, a whole bunch of them, Coinbase. Surprisingly, Luno is on there, but Luno only allows them to import the numbers across. That means Luno didn't open up the API for them to allow them to make buy and sell instructions.
Just read, no write.
Yeah, just read. That means read the portfolio information. So maybe I think that some of the Malaysian exchanges should start talking to Bit Universe. We should make some money from this.
Yeah.
The nice thing about Malaysia is that because we have 3 licensed operators in Malaysia for exchanges, and we also don't have a gains tax here in Malaysia. That's the beauty of crypto trading here in Singapore and also in Hong Kong. In the US, the IRS will come after you, man.
Look, I already know.
I've got a question here. So maybe what you've shown us is really, I think, an eye opener for a lot of people who are in crypto or not in crypto. But what are the downsides? As in, have you lost money before personally? And I have one comment here from Lim Beng Hok. He says that this method is good for small trades, right? But is there an instance where you could lose it all as well?
Okay. This is actually has to do with your appetite, your risk appetite for, let's say, for example, Ethereum. Or that's the reason why in the crypto world, I find it very, very interesting, right? And very transparent, because if you believe in any project, let's say, for example, in fact, there are a few projects that I believe in. Matic was one of them. All I had to do was go to CoinMarketCap, click on Matic, and see their price information for the past since the day they began. Plus, I can click onto their website, see who are the people behind this project, what is the project all about. That means I can do the due diligence part of it, right? And whether these guys are pump and dump guys or whether they are just, out to make a token and then nothing happens, right? So in a way, it's very similar. In fact, sometimes it's, to me, a little bit more open than, let's say, a company that maybe doesn't show its financials until maybe every quarter, right? And exposure, risk exposures and all that. So that's one. The other aspect of it is also because you are actually deciding on different tokens, right? it's up to how much you want to invest in each of the tokens, or whether you want to stop the bot. Okay. In fact, in the Bit Universe bot, you can actually have a stop loss. That means you can say, okay, if it reaches a certain threshold that I'm not comfortable with, shut the bot off. That's it, right? Or it can do trading pairs that you're comfortable with. For example, you can say, okay, I want to bet this token against Bitcoin, right? If Bitcoin goes up or this coin goes up, I want to bet against it. At the end of the day, either I left with a bag of Bitcoin or a bag of this token, right? So it's up to how you want to play this, depending on your investment decisions. Of course, crypto is still very new to a lot of people, but having said that, the people who follow Bitcoin is saying that, hey, in a crashing market like environment today, Bitcoin is still 21 million Bitcoins. Nobody's printing any more extra ones. Nobody is doing anything funny because there's still 21 million Bitcoins in the world. And when it's scarcity, what does it do? All right, people will, and it has a matter of, it has to do with people's confidence in a particular token or a particular project, right? So that is actually part and parcel of the crypto world.
But I'm maybe just regarding this Bit Universe, are you able to sort of limit those losses that is that built in?
Yes, the stop loss you can, or you can say, okay, I am not comfortable with the level of which it has dropped, because that range you can set.
Right? I see.
If it drops below a certain point, I don't want any more, I kill it. And anytime you can kill the bot. In fact, there are times in the early days of me using the thing, I get, oh man, I screwed up. So I would just turn off the bot and left with a whole bag of whatever tokens. And when it goes back up, I just say, okay, dump it, right? So that's been interesting, right? You should be staying up in the middle of the night looking at a Binance screen, okay?
So in the range, now, can you select how many slices in the grid?
Yes.
Okay, so you can,
you can do that. Yeah, you can do that, right?
Cool.
The bot that they have is people who already used it, or some people already set it, and some of the bots are recommended by other people also, right? So that's quite interesting. They have they show you how many people have used that bot, right? Or that particular algorithm.
Yeah, and you were talking about, I mean, obviously the whole API interface to Bit Universe. That's pretty much like, to be honest, that's like the basis of what WealthTech is right now. There's really not a whole lot that you can't do without APIs these days. So, for example, if you wanted to start your own digital brokerage, digital exchange to offer to, I don't know, people in Nigeria, for example, you can do that entirely with APIs. Not only can you do that, but you can also use APIs from companies like, remittance companies like Western Union or MoneyGram. All these companies have APIs, and you can freely access them. You don't have to pay anything for a lot of these, unless you're like, enterprise level and you're getting tons of traffic. Then it's a different thing. But you could essentially create fiat on ramps from remittance partners, and then create a digital brokerage all with APIs, and that's essentially what WealthTech is all based around. APIs rule the world right now, and that's of course that's part of the bot trading as well. So just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, guys. If I can just add, I suppose if you just look at the trend of what's happening in the tech space right now, I mean, we've got FinTech now, we've got WealthTech. Obviously, there's an overarching trend, which is the digitalization of the world we live in.
Yep.
And now, being on locked up, on a lockdown for the last, I don't even remember, 4 weeks, 5 weeks now, right? It's going to propel digitalization. It's going to just push it and fast forward it forward. So if anything, this is just a glimpse of what it looks like, right? I mean, a lot of the things that Stephen mentioned, right, in terms of bot trading, it's this, it's no different from, in stocks, you call it, it reminds you, hey, if it hits $1, buy, 80 cents, buy more, 60 cents, buy even more, right?
Right,
And
right.
if it goes up to 120, sell half for me, and if it hits 140, sell them all, right?
Yep.
So and the Mayzir will do it for you. So it's the same thing, except now it's a script, it's a program, or it's a bot, right? Whatever you call it, that's actually doing it for you. It's a computer doing the job for you.
Right.
So yes, and also with that trend of tokenization, because last week we spoke with Mauro, the CEO of Bitcoin Swiss Liechtenstein, and you know, in Europe, that there is this big trend right now of tokenization of, you know, literally the representation of an asset, right, on the blockchain or in a token form. It's just like your share scripts today. I mean, back in the day, right, you literally had printed out on paper, these were my share scripts. I literally had share scripts, right? And people would take them to the bank, put them in the safe deposit. And I still remember when I was a kid, there was this bank robbery where they literally drilled a hole into the bank vault and they stole all the share scripts, and they literally stole the you know. But now it's all digitalized. You know, now it's with, in Malaysia, it's with Bursa. So the concept of the representation of an asset in a token in an electronic format, and now with the, you know, the digitalization of what's happening around the world, you just put that together. I mean, you just join the dots, and you see this is going to be the future, right?
Yeah.
Before you know it, it's, you know, you press a button, or you, hey Siri, you know, sorry, I just activated my Siri. You know, you can say that and tell it to buy what, sell what, when, right? And that's
Yeah.
Well, that actually is what you know. I'm involved in a project called Proxima X. Also, remember my my classmate. He went on to after he left NAM as the president for NAM Foundation. He went on to found a project called Proxima X, and this is actually they built a platform where it's actually a decentralized exchange, EDLX. So they built it on top of their blockchain, and that's exactly what EDLX is. Imagine where today we have T+2. Of course, some people take advantage of that, right? T+2 is you buy the share, 2 days later you pay for it, right? Because of the, and this is actually because of the inefficiencies of our clearing system, right? But in EDLX is, imagine if we have our Maybank shares, right? The moment you buy it, let's say you buy $10,000 worth of Maybank shares. The moment you pay for it, you receive 10,000 Maybank tokens representing the shares itself. Doesn't that sound like the crypto world? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Tomorrow, if you want to buy, you want to actually sell that, you can actually transfer that to somebody immediately because you already held that Maybank token or Maybank shares, right? In the tokenized form. So basically, it reduces the friction, right? I'm also involved in a project in Taiwan, also very smart bunch of people called AlphaNu. AlphaNu does it one step even more. They took automated bot trading and said, okay, we're going to create a platform where people who are smart people who can write all this bot and algorithm, they can put up their bot. If you, the retail customer, wants to use their bot to trade and make money from it, right? The people who wrote that bot can get to share in that profit. What that means is that what they develop is that it means that all of us retail investors will have access to the same type of algorithm power or the bot trading power of the big banks or the JP Morgans of the world, because now you have that same intelligence that doesn't require hundreds of millions of dollars. Some guys in the back room in Wall Street with a whole army of research people to do that. That bot trader now is able to that retail trader is able to use that same intelligence to trade as well as some JP Morgan trading desk. Now that, I think, would be evening out, or what they call flattening the world, right? So give everybody the same equal opportunity to trade with that same type of power, right?
Yep.
And I was going to go ahead real quick, Andrew.
Yeah,
Tokenization is also, obviously it's a part of this whole WealthTech thing. Tokenization is going to allow access to equities, like private real estate. I mean, anything that you see right now, that's an asset is going to be tokenized. I mean, Andrew and I, we talked about this before. That is the future. So, like gold ETFs are going to be tokenized. Like I said, real estate. They're putting private placements, I think, on the R3 Corda distributed ledger, which is a type of blockchain, by the way. So they're doing all these things, and they're already like in the process of tokenizing all these things. So it's only a matter of time before more investors have the opportunity to or have access to these investments, including stocks, by the way. All stocks are eventually going to be tokenized. That's just how it's going to be. And this is obviously, again, it's going to give access to the world. And actually, I wanted to chime in on that piece of news that we talked about the other day with the Shenzhen and Bursa Malaysia Stock Exchange cross-border interoperability. That's part of this whole thing. I mean, I believe that these stock markets are going to start doing this all over the world. I know we're running out of time, but that's the whole plan. All stock markets are going to be tokenized, internationalized, etc. So,
I think it's probably advantageous to tokenize. With if they're going to start sort of collaborating together, it just makes access to finance a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, it cuts down the time, and also because the blockchain is still very hard to penetrate. There's no, until today, and I mean now how many years of the Bitcoin network running, nobody has been able to hack the blockchain network. All right, so in a sense, that's where having it tokenized will cut down a lot on the fraud or interoperability of different exchanges. Especially when you have exchanges that are probably some are new, some are old, with different type of software or interface.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure.
Yeah. Cutting down friction, like you said.
Yeah. Guys, I guess we're coming to the end of our show tonight. I just wanted to add that to our viewers that this is only for educational purpose. This is not financial advice. If you plan to invest in crypto in Malaysia, there are 3 regulated exchanges. So those are the ones that they're regulated by the SC in Malaysia, and those are the ones that you would go for. This is just for educational purposes. It is also when I say education, we talk about trends, right? And we look at what is happening around us today, and to see what may happen in the future as the technology progresses. Right. So I hope it's been beneficial for everyone tonight. And Ty, thank you for getting up so early and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
From halfway across the world. Stephen, thank you for sharing with us how you make money while you sleep.
Well, actually, one last thing is actually I encourage everyone. The old adage is, if you're not in it, you're not in it. Even if it putting 100 ringgit worth of to go out and buy one fraction of the Bitcoin. Go and learn it. Don't hear about it. Don't hear your friends talk about losing or making money on Bitcoin. Just do it yourself and learn it. I think that's the best way to actually get to know this industry.
Agreed.
Yeah, fully agree.
Don't fear it, right? Don't fear it. I think a lot of people are fearful, right? So you could try it with $100, right, and sort of reduce your fear, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the most you lose is a few Starbucks coffee. That's it.
Yeah, who needs it?
You can't go to Starbucks anyway, so.
That's oil. Oil, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. For those of you guys who join us online, thank you much. Thank you very much for staying with us. Tomorrow night, we have a CEO that will be joining us. Please do stay tuned at 8 p.m. at KopiTime. So this CEO that we will be featuring is in the semiconductor and EMS sector. So if you want to find out more about what's happening with COVID and the supply chain and you know, is this really as bad as it is? Let's hear it directly from an industry expert. Otherwise, we'll be back here again at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Benny will be back. I will be back. Peter will be back. Of course, if you guys want to find out a little bit more about cryptocurrency, every Thursday night is crypto night for us here at KopiTime. So you can go back and check our videos on Facebook. Remember to like and share and follow. All the videos are all there. And coming to you in future, we're going to get Andrew to run some cryptocurrency classes on ET Online Campus. Right? So make sure you guys donate 100 ringgit, bring in 3 friends. It is absolutely free, and the money that you spend goes to charity anyway. We're doing this all the way until the end of the MCO, or whenever the MCO ends, we don't know. It's been extended 3 times, so right now it's 12th of May. Yes, do join us, like, share, and follow as well. Otherwise, everyone, thank you very much. Stephen, Ty, and Andrew, thanks very much. We'll see everybody tomorrow, right? Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
All right.